The most unusual trains. An interesting selection of the most original models of locomotives and wagons created in the entire history of railway transport. Schienenzeppelin, rail zeppelin. The pre-Hitler Germany was trying to create the fastest train on Earth. In 1929, aircraft engineer Franz Krukenberg developed an experimental air propeller driving rail car. The incredibly light train Schienenzeppelin, which weighed only 20 tons, set a speed record of 225 km per hour on railroad track during trials in 1931. The railway airship held this achievement for 23 years. But the project could not last long due to the danger of using an open propeller in overcrowded railway stations. It was built in only one copy. In 1939, the train was dismantled due to the Army's need for aluminium. Armored trains. The first armored trains appeared during the American Civil War in 1861-1865. The armored trains was created at the initiative of General Joseph Hooker. He wanted to transport soldiers on such trains, and at the same time they tried to put weapons on the trains. Armored trains were popular in the First World War. They were almost indestructible to tanks, not even saying about infantry and cavalry. But however, armored trains were defenseless against the aviation. Also, one trained person was enough to destroy the railroad tracks. So anti-aircraft guns appeared in the armored wagons, and the carriage where spare sleepers and rails were stored was added to the train. The armored trains were also used by the army of the Ukrainian People's Republic in battles against the Bolsheviks. On March 21, 1919, the 3rd Regiment of the Sich Rifleman Corps of the UPR, with the support of an armored train, recaptured the Pichanovka station from the Bolsheviks. German armored train of the Second World War. During the Second World War, the rapid development of aviation put an end to the idea of the armored trains. Also, the armies of most countries abandoned such trains after the 60s. The railway troops of Russia are still using 4 armored trains. These are the so-called special trains from the war in North Caucasus. General Motors aerotrain. This train was designed by General Motors engineers in 1950s in the United States for several railroad companies. Those companies needed fast locomotives to get off the passengers in the rapidly developing civil aviation. The great hopes were pinned on the aerotrain. Well-known concept car designer Chuck Jordan gave it a stylish look, but there was almost nothing new in the construction of the carriages. The auto industry just took a few of their buses and replaced the chassis. At the same time, the aerotrain came out fast and more than 2 times lighter than the steam trains of that time. General Motors has produced 2 prototypes of the new vehicles, which have been provided to rail companies for testing. But the weak engine did not allow the train to reach the maximum possible speed and race to a hill. In addition, the locomotive was difficult to repair and maintain. The lightweight also played a bad joke with the train, in which the passengers felt as if they were in the back of a truck driving through the pits. The prototypes ran over 970,000 kilometers, and in 1966 they were written off. Aerotrains are now on a well-deserved retirement in American museums. Jet Train Black Beetle. Jet Train product M497 Black Beetle was an experiment in converting locomotives with diesel or electric traction to jet traction, as in aeroplanes. The Black Beetle was built in 1966 for the New York Central Railroad. Designed to carry passengers, it was equipped with 2 jet turbines from a B-36 bomber. During the tests, the locomotive achieved a speed record of 295 km per hour. which remained unbeaten for 40 years. But even though the prototype of the Beetle was built with second-hand parts, it turned out to be too expensive for mass use. In addition, the use of jack traction greatly worn out the rails and the transport itself. As a result, the turbines were removed from the locomotive and it served on a conventional engine until 1984, after which it was scrapped. EP 2267. The Soviet Union also tried to create its own jet train. One of these was assembled at the Kalinin carriage factory in 1970. A train, high-speed lab car, was created based on the ER-22 locomotive, which received two jet turbines from the Yak-40 passenger aircraft. To reduce air resistance, special fairings were installed on it. During the tests, the locomotive reached a speed of 250 km per hour. But the goal was not a speed record, but a study of interactions in the wheel-rail system for future high-speed trains. It was not possible to hook the carriage to the locomotive, and the railway track of those times did not allow a speed of more than 250 km per hour. After the completion of the tests, the HSLB was abandoned in the outskirts of the Kalinin factory. Later, a monument was made out of the front of the train by the entrance to the factory. Horse-drawn trains. Rails, like the railway itself, existed long before the appearance of the first steam locomotives. At the time of the creation of the steam locomotive in 1804, there was already a fairly large number of, albeit not very long, railways in the world. But there was no way to put a steam locomotive on them, since the first steam locomotives were very heavy and the cast iron rails could not withstand them. In those days, horse-drawn trains were more popular. These roads were usually one-way, and the speed on them was about 10 km per hour. The first horse-drawn railroad with regular passenger traffic originated in 1807 in Great Britain. But 2 centuries before that, a railroad with trolleys drawn by horses began transporting coal in England between 2 mountain villages. The cart was accompanied by drivers of traction animals. The road was named Volaton Wagonway. Horse-drawn trains were gradually replaced by steam engines. At the beginning of the 20th century, there were very few horse warehouses left, but you can still use the horse tram services in the city of Douglas in the US state of Maine. There are 45 horses in the service on unusual public transport. Animals are not forced to work in bad weather, so the Douglas horse train runs only in summer. Don't forget to subscribe and like it. Thanks for sharing, and bye bye.